Robbie, I'm a big fan of what you've done at Macclesfield FC. Always been a bit of a fan anyway of Macclesfield Town. I've covered them a lot in the past. And I want to know what the secret is, really. I mean, I know you've got massive passion for football, but it's got to be more than that. So what have you done that's made Macclesfield FC resurrect the phoenix from the flames?
I think we've given the football club back to the community. There's so many fantastic people behind the scenes at this football club who were heartbroken, who were devastated. It left the community devastated. It had the heart ripped out of it when Macclesfield Town went. And then Rob Smethurst, a local businessman, contacted me and said, can I go in with him to Macclesfield and see the plan, see the project? And since I've done that, we haven't looked back. It's been quite an amazing achievement to think that in the space of 12 months, we've gone from having no players at all to nearly 700 players at the football club. So, yeah, we're absolutely delighted. And basically, Ian, the fact that Macclesfield Town lost the name Town, football club, was lost. Now Macclesfield FC is born and it's absolutely thriving.
You've transformed the football club to being more than a football club now. I was very privileged a few years ago when Gil Prescott was involved at the club, that he took me on a tour of the new facilities that were in the stand. At the time, I think were to do with a local college. And you've already converted that into partly, I know, underneath as a gym, and you've made it much more commercial. You've made the pitch a 3G pitch, and you've made that community accessible. Is that the secret? Is having grassroots football sustainable, not to rely purely on those coming through the turnstiles, even though you've been phenomenally successful in getting people through the turnstiles?
I think you make some great points, Ian. The fact that my partner Rob wanted to make Macclesfield FC self-sustainable is remarkable, and we've got so many businesses in one. We don't rely on the fan base, the amazing fan base, the fan base that have been there through all the history of the football club, but we rely on Bar 27, that amazing facility, Stealth Gymnasium, the pitch, the BTEC, the international program, the academy. We've got so many businesses at this football club to make the football club self-sustainable. So we're absolutely delighted. But as you know, being a Man City fan, I've walked over since the 70s, fans want to see a team on the pitch giving everything they've got, and will be judged on that. Fans will go away on a Tuesday or a Saturday. The weather recently has been horrendous. They're soaking wet, they're cold, but they go away judging us as a club on the results of the first team. So again, as much as we try and give them everything, and which we do, and which they've all embraced it. 3,500 fans at Step 5 of football it's amazing. They've got the butterflies back, they've got the tears, they've got the joy, they've got the anxiety on a match day, which you feel, when you go to Man City. But yeah, we're absolutely delighted. And again, what comes with that though, Ian, is a bit of jealousy. Some people are a bit envious of what we've done, but they shouldn't be, because, as I've said, this football club is generating money, not just for the community, giving jobs. It's also creating income for clubs at our level with a fan base we take away from home. One club recently on a match day, generated £10,000 from us going there. So again, what we're doing is, I think, is to be commended.
I was there when Sean Goulter scored and City beat Mac in the league, and obviously the two clubs.
Oh, wait, geez, come here, Bob. I've got Bob Trafford. He's just shook his head. I'm joined now, special guest. Cheesy, you know him in your times covering. This is Bob Trafford, who is a volunteer. Well, was a communications manager. Then when we first started, a volunteer. Now he's a massive member of our team, communications manager. Go on, say that again, Cheesy. Sean Goulter.
Can just say before you say anything, 86-minute goal, breakaway goal after Steve Payne had just hit the bar. We should have won that game.
Oh,
But it shows you how
Still
far the
now.
club's come along, because I was actually, if you like, in corporate entertainment that day. I wasn't covering the game for the BBC or anything like that. And there was a marquee in the field. Do you remember that?
Right,
A
yeah.
marquee in the field right next to the ground. And it shows you how the club has changed and how it's progressing. It's those days, isn't it?
It does, doesn't it? I still remember them days when we were in the league, Manchester City and Stoke. If you remember that league that season with Fulham and Wigan. But I think the parallels to what we have now is that when Sammy McIlroy was manager at the time, we had so much pride. I mean, they were some of the best days of my life, you know what I mean? And I think that where that resonates now is we've got our pride in our football club back. Because let's have it right, under the last days in Macclesfield Town, it was like watching a loved one suffer, and it was horrible. And I think that, you know, we can now say we are proud of our football club again.
Well, here's a question to the two of you, because obviously I watched the documentary, which I know you were in as well, Bob, and Robbie's passion overflows. That's what he's all about. That's what makes him tick. And he wanted to be the manager that day, and you know, shouting from the touchline and all the rest of it. People who support other grassroots teams, and I'm thinking of teams in the Tameside area where I do a lot of work at the moment: Ashton United, Denton FC, Glossop North End, Curzon Ashton. How do they replicate what you're doing at Macclesfield FC? Do they have to have a Robbie Savage fronting it all, or can it be replicated elsewhere? Because I love grassroots football as much as I love my Premier League football with Manchester City, and I attend over 100 games a season. I've seen Robbie, I've seen you at Stockport FC, I've seen you all over the place. You care about it. How do you replicate it at other clubs other than just Macclesfield FC?
Oh, it's a great question. Listen, I'm very fortunate, and us as a club is to have a local businessman who is a Mac fan, who done very well in a previous business, and his business ideas, you know, transmit down to this football club. So as a football club alone, you know, if we want to progress through the leagues, it would be very difficult, because we know as we progress through the leagues, therefore you got to get better players, therefore your wage budget increase. You know, what happened to the previous club, you know, going out of business, Rob and I didn't want that to happen again. So for other clubs, looking at ways of how to generate income, so you don't need the footfall of fans through the door. And as I've said, you know, Bob has seen this club transform, where we now have a fantastic bar, 27, stealth gymnasium with over 400 members, you know, the pitch which generates money, a BTEC program, an international program. So we've got so many different things which we can, you know, bring into the football club that makes money for the football club. And as I say, we're not worried on a weekend if there's 300 people in, off there's 3,000. That doesn't really, you know, it does have an impact on the football club in terms of money, but we're not solely reliant upon that. And listen, it's a fantastic business model we have here, and that's why we can, you know, get probably some of the best players at this level, and we can pay them a little bit more money, which again might bring a few people to say, "Oh, look at that football club again; they're buying the league." You know, we're getting that, but we're doing it the right way. We care, we're passionate, and our heart and soul is in it. And I think that's one thing. And I love listening to you two chat about old times. I could sit in a room, Ian, with you and Bob, and listen to the people reminisce about this football club, about Man City, about all football clubs, because we're football fans, us three. And I think if you're a football fan and care, that comes across to the community. And hopefully, Bob didn't know me, you know, at all. And hopefully, Bob knows I care about his football club.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember the day I found out Robbie was potentially getting involved, and I thought my mate was on a wind-up. And then all of a sudden, I get a message through on Twitter saying, "Hi, it's Robbie. Can I have your number?" And I was like, "His account's been hacked here." And then I met him at the press conference we did. Yeah. But listen, mate, you could tell then. You could tell then that, you know, he was somebody who was serious, and more than anything, you know, there's a lot of serious people in football, a lot of serious businessmen. But ultimately, deep down, you knew he would become a fan. And when you asked the question a minute ago about how any football club can replicate what we're doing, it is because of the fans. And yeah, all right, we may have, you know, these brilliant facilities now. Our ambitions may be slightly higher than, you know, other teams, but no matter what team you are, you kind of set your goals accordingly, and the only people who can make them happen, whether you're Manchester United or, you know, a pub team, is the people who come and watch it.
Yeah, and you say it, Ian, there that you played. Was it 23 years ago that Manchester City and Macclesfield Town played in the same league? The fan base Man City have had, whether they were in League One, you know, the Championship, you could say 20, 30,000, an amazing fan base, whether they went down to League One. What we've seen here is that when Macclesfield Town were promoted, you know, I think the average for that season was about 1,750.
Yeah. And when we were in the same league as you boys, in our league our average was 3,300 and was League One with Stoke and City.
So I think it just goes to show that fans will always be the fundamental part of any football club. Owners, players, managers will come and go. The fans are here for life. It's their life. It's Bob's life. You know, he's fortunate to be part of the football club. But again, when you see the smiles on people's faces, when you see the generations of families now, youngsters, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, all here at a game, new fans, it's just heartwarming, and they come for a meal, you know, they'll go in the gym, they'll watch a game, and then they've got something to talk about on a Saturday or a Tuesday. They didn't have that not long ago, but now they've got it, and people will say, step 5. Listen, Man City were in League One. They're now in a Champions League final. So you've got a dream. But the fans, if you know, you followed City here, you follow City in the Champions League. But grassroots football, for me, I'd rather at times watch a grassroots game than I would a Premier League game, because you're close to it. You're absorbed in it. Macclesfield FC have got new heroes. There's names on backs of shirts. Some of these lads playing at our level will work all day, and they come here and playing for 3,000, and their names on the back of somebody's shirt. It's the biggest club they ever played for, some of them, and they realise that. So, yeah, I want you two to talk more about old times. It's great.
No, because I'm still bitter about it, mate, because we should have won. But I suppose the other thing to add to what Robbie was saying is that just because this club has had a great amount of investment and they've got all these facilities, let's not detract from the point of view of every single person, including volunteers, have had to work damn hard, haven't they?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes from the outside world, it's, yeah, you should be doing well. Yeah, you should be doing this because you've got, you know, resources to have the best at this level and this, that, and the other. But that in some ways does an injustice to every single person who has gone above and beyond just for the love of the club.
Do you know what? I think it makes a good point. And Ian, we're speaking quite a lot. We need to come in, obviously, because it's your podcast. But we've been called the Man City of Step 5 football. And I've got some very good friends at Manchester City from my time following them around Europe. You know, the media team, fantastic people. And the hours they work are quite incredible. Every football club, the amount of hours they work and the dedication and time given, is quite remarkable. So it doesn't matter if you're Premier League or where we are, people care. If you've got people who care about your club, no matter what level, you've got a chance. You know that, don't you?
Absolutely. And the one final question I want to ask you, which don't take this the wrong way, but do you work in isolation as Macclesfield FC now, or do you look at other clubs who are in the same sort of position, maybe even lower than you are? Some of the clubs I've mentioned, like Curzon, Ashton United, Glossop North End, Hyde United, those types of smaller clubs. Is there some advice you can give to them? And do you must care about those clubs, even though your main focus is on Macclesfield FC, because we're all part of a football family. And I do. Even though I'm a Premier League fan and a City fan, I care just as passionately about those other clubs and get to as many games as I can. What do you say to them to give them hope that they can replicate what you've done?
Well, from my point of view, coming into this football club when it was, when it wasn't a football club, and then now building what we built, myself and Rob Smethurst in particular, never take your football club for granted. Every day you open that door to go in the morning, you know, the way you greet people, the way you welcome people, the way you conduct yourselves, you know, everybody's on the same level. So I would say never take your football club for granted, no matter what level, because you never know, you just never know, it might not be there. And if it's taken away from you, the absolute devastation it can cause to a community. We've seen cases recently, haven't we? And
Bury
it's hard
FC,
to
perfect
believe, yeah.
example.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, isn't it, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, I just came in for work one day back in September 2020, and we were actually signing the player when the plug was pulled. And what I would say is, you know, for a good 2 or 3 weeks after that, he was almost, you know, feeling numb. It was like somebody very, very close to you passed away. I can't really put it into words. It was horrible. And in some respects, the thing which played on my mind the most is all them brilliant memories, what we had watching Mac, was somehow tainted and tarnished because we knew how the story ended. So to all those people who were, you know, at them clubs you've mentioned, Ian, just be grateful for what you've got. And all right, you might not win every game on the pitch, but you've got your club. And I think that if our story kind of like we can gain something from it, is that just do not take it for granted.
Well, you're two of the most genuine people I know. You're both the two ends of different spectrums, the Premier League media superstar, the grassroots, down-to-earth, real fan. I can identify with both of you. Well done on what you've achieved so far, and keep it going. Love you both.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.